7:45, I'm going to race through the southern studies associated with the NGC 2350 to 2399 series. I've already captured the more northerly ones because I knew we were going to end up being Roof Tribe Rock by this time in the evening, due to the fact that it's been probably at least a week since I've been able to get out and do these studies due to atmospheric weather. So, what we're seeing here in the middle of the field is NGC 2350. It is a galaxy, and there's a neighbor in Canis Minoris. I believe this is the first time we've traveled here. Magnitude 12.3, 1.7 by 0.7 arc minutes, spiral with a lowercase a, 88 million light years distance, so maybe somewhere around 40,000 light years in diameter. RA is 7:13:12 with a declination of plus 12 degrees, 15 minutes, 57 seconds. This intrigues me right here, but this is actually our galaxy, 1.4 by 1.720 NGC 2350. Okay, we have a very rich galactic plane star field here for an open cluster in Canis Majoris. 5 arc minutes in size, 6,100 light years distant. If I were to suspect one, would be up here, but no, that's not the case. I pretty much centered things out pretty well down further south. 5 arc minutes size, 6,100 light years, RA 7:13:31 with a declination of minus 10, 29, 12. A little bit of zoomage and out. As it turned out, NGC 2353 was that open cluster further to the east, as we would suspect, in Monoceros, magnitude 7.1, 20 arc minutes size, 30 stars, the brightest star magnitude 9.2. Class 22, 3,600 light years distant, RA is 7:14:30 with a declination of minus 10 degrees, 16 minutes and odd seconds. Okay, right behind power line diffraction bar is NGC 2354. It's an open cluster in Canis Majoris. Brightish, magnitude 6.5, 20 arc minutes in size, 100 stars. Could have made the Messier list. Magnitude 9.1, class 3-2. Well, maybe it is a little broadly distributed. 13,300 light years distant, RA 7:14:10, declination minus 25 degrees, 41 minutes and 24 seconds. But for that diffraction bar, the stars look very, very nice. NGC 2355, I just reset the exposure time from 10 seconds to 5, so the first few studies were 10-second exposure times. 2355 is an open cluster in Gemini. It's also 2356, magnitude 9.7, 9 arc minutes in size, 40 stars, brightest star magnitude 13. It's a class 2-2. 7,200 light years distant, RA 7:16:59 plus 13 degrees, 45 minutes and 8 seconds in declination. And these babies are culminating as I speak. Okay, this should be interesting. I may or may not have captured this galaxy earlier, and I probably should have, but it's only 23 degrees north. This is NGC. What a beauty. 2357, a splintered galaxy in Gemini, magnitude 13.3, 3.6 by 0.5 arc minutes. That's like a 7:1 aspect ratio. That's relatively unheard of. Spiral with a lowercase c, 102 million light years distant, puts this at about 110,000 light years in diameter. We're at right ascension 7 hours, 17 minutes, 40 seconds with a declination of plus 23 degrees, 21 minutes and 20 seconds. It has a neighbor, and it looks like it has a bit of a tail here. So I suspect we've got spiral arms that go off like that. Let me let things dissipate on the controls and then head out. NGC 2358 is an open cluster in Canis Majoris, the big dog. 8 arc minutes in size, 2,100 light years distant, but there's no other data on it other than its location, which is 7 hours, 16 minutes, 56 seconds. And a declination of minus 17 degrees, 7 minutes odd seconds. There we go. Oh joy, we have a bar right where we have a nebulosity. That nebulosity is NGC 2359 in Canis Majoris. Wow, that's sweet. I would go to theskylive.com and have a look at it. NGC 2359, 10 by 5 arc minutes, magnitude 11 star in it. It's an emissive type, 15,000 light years distant. Right ascension is 7/18/30 with a declination of minus 13 degrees, 13 minutes and 36 seconds. Spread that out just a little bit and just make it go all over the field, because maybe I can play with it as a solitary image. NGC 2360 is another open cluster in Canis Majoris, brightish, magnitude 7.2, 13 arc minutes in size, 80 stars, magnitude 10.4 of the brightest, which puts this at about 3 magnitudes difference, which tells you it's a fairly populated open cluster, class 2-2, 6,200 light years distant, RA is 7/17/43, declination of minus 15 degrees, 38 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, this may be part of the same nebulosity. NGC 2361 probably is the same as the previous, because hanging out right where that one is. In Canis Majoris, emissive type, NGC 2361, just to get the number right, RA 7/18/23, declination minus 13/12/34. Well, this is a very obvious open cluster, and Canis Majoris. I'm surprised it doesn't have a Messier designation. NGC 2362, open cluster Canis Majoris, magnitude 4.1, condensed, 8 arc minutes in size, some 60 stars. The brightest is magnitude 4.4. That may be line of sight, who knows, but it could be the progenitor star. It's a class 1, highly condensed, 3 with disparate magnitudes, 4,700 light years distant. RA is 7/18/41 with a declination of minus 24 degrees, 57 minutes and 18 seconds. Pushing it up a little bit in magnification and getting rid of that color bar. There we have our look at NGC 2362 open cluster. NGC 2364 is an open cluster in Monoceros. No other attribute other than its distance, 6,300 light years distance. RA 7/20/46 with a declination of minus 7/33 and odd seconds. NGC 2364. May have captured this one previously in the first group of northies, but this is NGC 2365. It is a galaxy in Gemini, magnitude 12.4, 2.4 by 1.3 arc minutes, spiral with a bar and lowercase a, bright core. 107 million light years distant, puts it about, let's say, 90,000 light years in diameter. Be nice to compare it with the previous view if I've done it. 7 hours, 22 minutes, 22 seconds in right ascension, declination of plus 22 degrees, 4 minutes, 59 seconds. And looking up at the sky, the brightest star in the sky by night is Sirius, and it is culminating almost due south right at this moment, to my visual perception. NGC 2367 is an open cluster in Canis Majoris. I think we can assume that's it. Magnitude 7.9, 3.5 arc minutes in size, some 30 stars, brightest star magnitude 9.4. It's a class 4, 3, which means it shouldn't be this condensed, and its size was 3.5 arc minutes. I don't get it. 4,600 light years distant, right ascension 7/20/06 with a declination of minus 21 degrees, 52 minutes and 54 seconds. NGC 2368 is an open cluster in Monoceros, magnitude 11.8, so not very present, 5 arc minutes in size, a mere 15 stars, at class 4, 2, so it's not very condensed, but this must be the cluster right here. If there's anyone on the field RA is 721.06 with a declination of minus 10 degrees, 22 minutes and 18 seconds. NGC 2370 is a galaxy, as you can tell there. Not a small nebulosity. I've seen a few of those now, and except for their morphology, they could easily be considered galaxies. In Gemini, magnitude 13.6.8 by 0.5, spiral with bar, lowercase c, 248 million light years distant, maybe 70,000, 60,000 light years in diameter. RA 72501, declination plus 23 degrees, 46 minutes, 59 seconds. No blockage, so I won't have to replace this with one done earlier. NGC 2374 is an open cluster in Canis Majoris, magnitude 8, 19 arc minutes in size, a mere 25 stars. Magnitude 10.7 of the brightest, gives it a 2.7 delta. It's a class 2-3, more disparate, and it makes sense from the delta between the brightest stars and the collective magnitude. 4,800 light years distant. RA is 72356 with a declination of minus 131548. Okay, here's a galaxy I imaged beginning in the first set, but I wanted to pick it up again because it might have been a little bit difficult, challenging earlier in the evening. This is NGC 2376, Galaxy Gemini, magnitude 14.5, 0.5 by 0.5 arc minutes, spiral with a lowercase bc, 244 million light years distant. Does look more present, doesn't it? Right ascension 726.35 with a declination of plus 23 degrees, 4 minutes and 22 seconds. NGC 2377 looks like it's right about there. It's a galaxy in Monoceros, magnitude 12.7. Looks a little strange in its morphology, doesn't it? Maybe having some interactive line of sight stars. Magnitude 12.7, 1.7 by 1.3 arc minutes, spiral with a lowercase c. Yes, it doesn't have a very bright core. 106 million light years distant, puts it about 65,000 light years in diameter. RA 72456 with a declination of minus 9 degrees, 39 minutes, 36 seconds. Okay, despite the distraction of the color bar, we're having a deep south view. How deep are we going? Minus 27 degrees, 31 minutes, and 43 seconds for a view of NGC 2380, Galaxy in Canis Majoris. It's also 2382. It's bright, magnitude 11.2, 2.1 by 2 arc minutes. We're seeing the core. It's a spiral with a bar of the lenticular class, which is why it has such an expansive, bright core. 82 million light years distant, not a particularly large galaxy, maybe something like 50,000 light years in diameter. RA 72354 with a declination of minus 27, 31, and 43 seconds. Let's make sure we get, let's go ahead and try that 150x view. NGC 2383 is that nice sprinkling of stars we're seeing up here, but it could be this or that. Let's see if we can figure it out without consulting with the wizard of eyepiece astronomy, Steve Gottlieb at adventuresindeepspace.com. 2383 is an open cluster in Canis Majoris, magnitude 8.4. Here's one hint. 6 arc minutes in size. Here's another 40 stars. So I'm venturing this one here. Let's look at the class, though. The brightest stars are magnitude 9.8. Well, there's a couple of those ranges there. It's a class 1. This is much more condensed than that, so I'm voting for this one. And it is a 3, which means very disparate magnitudes. Now, we got a lot of disparateness, variation in magnitudes here, but not so many there. It's 11,100 light years distant. Wow. RA 72440 with a declination of minus 20 degrees, 56 minutes, and 54 seconds. Little zoomage, maybe? And there we have this and that. I wonder if we're going to come back to this one or not. And indeed we did, for NGC 2383 was followed by, what? NGC 2384, since it is to the east of it. The only question was whether it was considered an open cluster or not. It's in Canis Majoris, magnitude 7.4, smaller, so maybe it's just this region here. 15 stars, brightest are magnitude 8.9. It's a class 4, 3. 10,000 light years distant. RA is 72510 with a declination of minus 21 degrees, 1 minute and 18 seconds. A little bit of zoomage, 2383, 2384. Off to Auriga, the charioteer, for NGC 2387. Galaxy, magnitude 15.5. This one's going to be fairly faint, but let's see what class it is. Just listed as a spiral. 894 million light years distant, if you believe it, but I would check the red shift. Red shift is pretty linear. At about 150 light years, you get a 0.01 shift. So this should have like 9 times that, so 0.09. We're at right ascension 7 hours, 28 minutes, 58 seconds with a declination of plus 36 degrees, 52 minutes, and 40 seconds. And again, the reason why I'm a bit out of order here is I want to make sure that I get through all the far northerly galaxies before we run into issues with aperture blockage or reflection off route tries. That typically occurs as the scope gets a little too pointy towards culmination. Okay, NGC 2388, several galaxies in the field. Let's see if we can figure it out. Is magnitude 13.7, 1 by 0.6 arc minutes. 13.7, that's probably its photographic. That's probably its actual optical. Anything above 14, I get suspicious, or approaching 14. 1 by 0.6 arc minute spiral, 187 million light years distance, so maybe 55,000 light years in diameter. RA is 7 hours, 28 minutes, 53 seconds with a declination of plus 33 degrees, 49 minutes, and 7 seconds. Here's a nice centered up 105x view. But I do think I should be having to do a little focusing. But boy, the stacks are mounting right up without any ignored. Okay, 2389 is that neighbor to 2380. I believe it was 88, but it might have been 87. Galaxy in Gemini, magnitude 12.9, 2 by 1.4 arc minutes. So this is our NGC 2389. I believe this was 88. Magnitude 12.9, 2 by 1.4 arc minutes, spiral with a bar, lowercase c. Not much of a core, but it sure seems to have one. 177 million light years distant, maybe 110,000 light years in diameter. RA is 72904 with a declination of plus 33, 51, 37. Let's make sure we're getting that 105x view. Okay, and here's that planetary nebula we saw going south earlier in the previous studies where we did some of the northies first. This is NGC 2392, Planetary Nebula in Gemini, magnitude 8.6 totally, 47 by 43 arc seconds. The central star, which you can see there, is magnitude 10.6, 4,100 light years distant. We're at right ascension 72910 with a declination of plus 20 degrees, 54 minutes, and 41 seconds. We are starting to get a little reflected luminosity in this part of the screen. Okay, NGC 2393 was another galaxy in that group we saw earlier. Well, maybe not. It did jump a little bit. This looks a little different. This is a galaxy in Gemini, magnitude 14, 1.2 by 0.8, spiral with a lowercase c, so barely a core on this. That makes sense, as well as the aspect ratio. 221 million light years distant, maybe 80,000 light years in diameter. RA 73004 with a declination of plus 34 degrees, 1 minute and 38 seconds. Back down to 105x. NGC 2394 is an open cluster in Canis Minoris. Near a bright star, probably somewhere around magnitude 5. 10 arc minutes in size, 2,200 light years distant. No other information other than that. I wouldn't have called this an open cluster anyway. at the eyepiece by discovery. Interesting. Maybe with a smaller scope, many of these stars would be gone, and these few stars here would stand out. Okay. RA 72836 with a declination of plus 7 degrees, 5 minutes and 12 seconds. NGC 2395 is, guess what? That's obviously an open cluster. Kind of looks like a mushroom. We'll call this the mushroom cluster. Here's the stalk. Here's the leaf, if you can call it a leaf. It's an open cluster in Gemini, magnitude 8, 12 arc minutes in size, 30 stars. The brightest are magnitude 10. It's a class 3, 1. So many of the stars are the same magnitude, but there's a delta of about 2 magnitudes between the brightest and the collective magnitude. We're at RA 72712 with a declination of plus 13 degrees, 36 minutes, and 30 seconds. NGC 2396 is clearly an open cluster. Well, maybe vaguely an open cluster. It's in Puppis. I believe that's the puppy. Magnitude 7.4, 10 arc minutes in size, 30 stars. The brightest are magnitude 10. It's a class 3, 3. Now that was 10 arc minutes in size, so it probably is this entire region here. 1900 light years distant at RA 728 and no minutes, seconds, 28 minutes, no seconds. Declination minus 1143 and no seconds. This is going to be our Carpe Noctem view. I will play with the histogram to see if we can't make it a little more eye-popping. I think that's pretty good. Maybe not. Right about there. This is the 2 touch points that I use on the histogram when I do it manually. So we are looking at NGC 2903, a galaxy in Leo, magnitude 9, 12 by 5.6 arc minutes in size. Spiral with a bar, lowercase bc, 28 million light years distant, RA 93209, declination plus 21 degrees, 30 minutes and 3 seconds. And if you go to Steve Gottlieb's Adventures in Deep Space.com, we just got our second stack, you will see that he has automatically programmed in to his user interface, guess what? NGC 2903, where you can collect all the data you want on this magnificent spiral galaxy, which is probably about, I think our galaxy may be a little more evolved, maybe an SAB, as well as the Messier galaxy. So our core is a little more expansive, and the spiral arms go out a bit further. So this one is still learning how to wrap its arms around itself so it can say to all the universe, Carpe Noctem.